Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And we're honored to be talking about the West Cancer Foundation. We're joined by Leighanne Soden, who's the executive director, and also Jenny Vergos, who's a board member with the West Cancer Foundation. How are you two doing?
Great.
I'm great.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, Jeremy.
Absolutely. So, Leighanne, let's start with you. Give us a little bit of history and some context for the West Cancer Foundation.
Sure. I'm honored to talk about it. We were founded in January of 2020, right before the pandemic, but because of an incredible board of directors and our community support, we trudged forward and we raised money. We did virtual events. And what we do is provide services for the community, a lot of services and programs for the underserved in our community. Two emphasis we have right now, our board feels very strongly about. One is our breast screening program for the underserved, underinsured. We navigate women to their mammography, different sites across town we use. And that is something in our community that is so important because of the prevalence of the mortality rates and also of late detection and the later stages of breast cancer. So that is a high priority for us and something that we put a lot of energy and focus and our resources behind. The other program that is growing literally by the day is transportation. This is a program for any cancer patient, for any oncology related appointment, any provider in town. We work with all the hospitals, clinics that are providers for cancer care. We focus, of course, on patients who are in active treatment for radiation or chemotherapy. Obviously, they cannot and should not miss any of those appointments. So that is something very important to us as well. And it's growing as people are finding out more about that we have that program for all of our citizens here that need help.
When you look at the name West Cancer Foundation, and obviously Bill West, amazing man and family, and this honors his mother, give us a little bit of history on that side too. I think that's a very cool storyline of this.
Sure, absolutely. So Dr. West, who is on our board of directors, incredible friend and supporter, when he was in high school, his mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. And this was in the time when we didn't have all of the technology that we have today and the incredible resources. She was treated and she did well. So then Dr. West graduated from high school and went to Harvard, because where else would Dr. West go other than Harvard? When he was a senior at Harvard, his mother's cancer had come back and had spread. And he told her, "I'm coming home, Mom. I'm going to be with you." And she said, "No, you will not. You will finish your degree at Harvard." She passed away the week that he graduated. And something that has always struck me, he's always said at that moment, he said, "I was commissioned to do something so that other women didn't suffer like I'd seen my mother suffer." So what an incredible legacy because of his mother, Margaret West, and because of his work. We have the West Cancer Foundation, of course, West Cancer Center, one of our many partners.
And so elaborate on that aspect, because West Cancer Foundation supports broadly the research, the programs, and so touch on that aspect.
Sure. One program we're very proud of that we've invested over $1 million in is the University of Tennessee Health Science Center Oncology Fellows Program. This is a program for the brightest young physicians who want to come here to Memphis and train with some of the best oncologists in town. And we have funded several of those over the last couple of years. We also have an incredible partnership that's growing with the University of Memphis. We are working to build a center for research at the university with our partners at the School of Public Health. And we funded several grants studying many of the socioeconomical aspects of cancer, very closely tied to what we do with our outreach programs in the community.
When you look at some of the other aspects in terms of taking care of the individuals, wigs is another one that it might fly under the radar in terms of the importance, but extremely important for women and their confidence. Talk about wigs.
Absolutely. We have literally over 1,000 wigs in our inventory, all styles, colors, shapes you could imagine, and they are free to anyone who needs a wig. And it is so important, Jeremy. I haven't had to face that, fortunately, but a lot of friends. And it is especially hard for a woman, not that it wouldn't be for men as well, but for women and their hair, it is something it's close to the heart. So that's a service we provide that, again, like you said, doesn't seem like much, but it's huge if you're facing that.
Absolutely. And I think it's all the little things that make a big difference, right? And so it's how do you pour in, and like you're talking about the research and moving the needle on that side in terms of treatments and protocols. And then on the other, it's taking care of the individuals and their families. And it's all the little things, including the wigs. And so talk about some of the other things like the garments and some of the specialized areas too, stepping in and once again, helping the individuals.
Sure. We're very proud of two programs that have been around for a while that we have taken on. One is the Lymphedema Assistance Program and the Post-Mastectomy Program. So lymphedema is a byproduct of cancer treatment, unfortunately. Not all breast cancer patients, but mostly women who've had their lymph nodes removed. The garments that are needed along with the physical therapy are very expensive. Insurance, for the most part, doesn't cover a lot of that. So we help women with whether it's a sling, a glove, bandages, whatever they need and are prescribed, we pay for that. Also post-mastectomy, that program, even more so than the wigs, that's something that a woman, if she has had to have a mastectomy, we provide the undergarments, the prosthesis, and if you don't have insurance, that's incredibly expensive, or if you can't afford the prosthesis. So those are two programs we're proud of because we're the only organizations in this entire region that offers those programs.
What's been the feedback so far when you look at these programs and the impact they're having? Obviously, you get a chance to see firsthand that impact, but what's been some of the feedback from the individuals and their families?
Sure. Just last week, we had a patient call us and she just wanted to say thank you. A young lady on our team named Gracie Griesbeck works our transportation program, and she called and she told me that young lady is an angel and I don't know what I would have done without her. I wouldn't have gotten to my chemotherapy if it weren't for Gracie's. Please thank her. And we've had several other women write us about, thanking them for the prosthesis. It's such a great feeling to know that we really are making a difference in the community with the programs. And we're also have an incredible board of directors. I have to brag on my board. I have one of the best boards in this community, and so thankful. Jenny is a founding board member, Jenny Vergos of our board, and they support what we do, and they have such a big vision for what we want to be in this community. They're all business, civic leaders that support us in every way possible.
Before we switch over and start talking about all the events and ways to plug in with Jenny, give me one more thing that you wish everyone knew, especially for the public, about the West Cancer Foundation.
One thing I would like for them to know is, one, to please support us through your volunteerism, of course, and through gifts, and also spread the word around the community of the programs that we have. We want to make sure that all the providers in town and nurses and community centers and other resources know about us. So that would be two things I would ask.
Perfect. Jenny, let's switch over to you. And before we dive into the events, what attracted you to being a board member with the West Cancer Foundation?
Well, Jeremy, unfortunately, I had a family member, my late husband, Nick Vergos. He was diagnosed with lung cancer in December of 2018. And then fortunately, we were able to get into West Cancer with Dr. Kurt Tower, and he was his physician. He was already stage 4 by the time that we found out that he had cancer, but our experiences at West were just incredible. The staff, the facilities, the physicians, the nurses, the chemotherapy, the volunteers that are there. I mean, it's just a very truly special place. I mean, you don't want, in some respects, we want to brag about ourselves. You don't want anybody to really have to use us. But when they do, we want it to be the best experience over there. So after he died, they asked me to be on the board, and I gladly accepted. So, and I've since gotten very involved with it. And I have a marketing background, an event background. I'm, as a volunteer, I've done a lot of events around town. So that's kind of where I kind of put my skill set.
Absolutely. Well, and I think it's important to know your personal passion for this. And I think that's a big piece of this, is knowing a little bit of your story and that, that passion for being able to make a difference with the West Cancer Foundation. So let's dive into these events. As you mentioned, your background is events and marketing. And so this is in your wheelhouse for sure, but let's talk about some of the upcoming events. So give us a little bit of a broad overview with the upcoming events, and then we'll dive in specifically to some of the main ones.
we have what's coming up, a new event for us. I mean, in January or February, I believe, of 2019, there was a fundraiser that was held over at Graceland at the new hotel there, and they had Christian Chenoweth come in, and it was incredible. It was a really unique, fun event. And then we get a pandemic and nothing is happening and there's no events. And so we started talking about what can we do? What should we do? Should we emulate that event and do something different? And it was funny. Leighanne had already talked to me about potentially chairing something. And so I was in the middle of the pandemic reading a Memphis magazine article about Boo Mitchell. And I, in my very, very distant past, used to be in a band, and I was a local musician. And I was reading about how the pandemic had affected all of our musicians in town, economically. I mean, just the way where they could go get jobs and nobody was having events. So nobody was having weddings. Nobody was hiring the bands. Nobody was having musicians. So I started thinking about it. And at that point, I had been looking outside of Memphis for an entertainer and what kind of theme would we have. And after I read that article, I just went, you know what, we need to celebrate the soul of Memphis. We need to celebrate what we are, what West is doing, what the foundation is doing. We are serving the souls of Memphis. We are the underserved, the underinsured, and I just I'm a realtor, and I recently was just driving around our next breast fellow this weekend, and they posed a question to me, what's your favorite thing about Memphis? And I said, man, I just keep coming back to the soul of us. Yes, we can be our own worst enemy, but we all love each other and we support each other. And so I kind of really wanted that to be the theme. And so Soul Soiree came out of that. And we are celebrating the music, the soul, the sounds of Memphis, the what we eat, what beverages are made here, and so it's not a traditional formal, sit down gala that has been, I think post-pandemic, a lot of people want something a little bit more casual. We want it fun and sassy and soulful. So it's going to be at a new venue called the Kent, which is in downtown Memphis in Uptown. And it's a cool, brick and concrete and steel facility. We have Boo Mitchell is producing the music for that night, and we've got his band, and Grammy winning musicians will be part of that. We're planning on having areas of town celebrated as far as food is concerned. So you might, one area may be Stroll Down Summer, or Poplar Pub Crawl, or Midtown Munchies, or the Best of Barbecue, and it's going to be featuring some of our local restaurants, in that respect. So we think it's fun. We need support from, obviously we're, sponsors, and we need people attending, but I think it's going to be a really fun, unique event.
Talk about some of the logistics in terms of date, and you mentioned sponsorships. And so talk about tickets and sponsorships, and how the magic work? So it's May 5th, Friday, May 5th, downtown, 6:30 to 10:30. And I would imagine Leighanne might pipe in on me, but I believe that you can go to our website, westcancerfoundation.org. And that we're selling everything from large packages, sponsorship packages, to tables at $5,000. If you want an individual ticket, you can come. It's kind of open seating at that point. You won't have an assigned seat, and those are $250. But it will be a great, really fun event. So yes, the website westcancerfoundation.org makes it easy. And when you look at other upcoming events and ways to plug in, you have the Ride to Rosemary in October, West Fight On in September. So lots of other upcoming events and ways to plug in throughout the year. And touch on, Leighanne, the volunteerism and some of those aspects for people to physically get involved as well, both with the events and serving as volunteers, but also throughout the year. So give me one or two other ways that the public can help your efforts.
For West Fight On, we need a minimum of about 200 to 300 volunteers. And that is such a fun event because it's bringing the community together. Our theme last year was come together, sort of a take on the Beatles, Abbey Road, because we wanted to come together as a community in the fight against cancer and also come together after 2 years of not having events. We have a wonderful event. You can cycle, run, walk, volunteer. It's really fun family type of event. We raised last year over $600,000 at that event. And these events are what make possible all the programs and the research that we fund. But that's our largest event. Ride to Rosemary is an incredible story of 11 men who 12 years ago decided they were going to ride their bikes from Memphis to Rosemary Beach, Florida. And it was very small. They said, we might make a few dollars along the way for cancer. It's grown from that to now 72 riders this year. And they've had to actually do a lottery system because so many folks want to participate. Last year, they raised over $400,000. And this year, we expect to raise $500,000. That's a really cool event. And we'd love for people to come out the morning they head out and cheer them on. It's a very moving experience as you watch this sea of men riding their bikes down Germantown Parkway. It's a great event.
That's awesome. So wrap up, we mentioned it before, but mention it again, website, social media, where do we go to learn more, to get plugged into the events, but where do we go to make sure that we're in the know with the West Cancer Foundation?
Our website is the first place, and also our phone number's on there. You can call us anytime, and we'd be happy to talk with anyone about donating and volunteering and learning more about what we do in the community.
And that makes it easy. So the website again, westcancerfoundation.org. So Leighanne and Jenny, thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you so much.